Greetings, folks. Welcome. Seems like most regions of the United States are using technology-based strategies in the pursuit of economic development. It could be high technology, biotech, nanotechnology, or even fintech, which is applying technology to financial services. You might be wondering, why all the interest in technology? Well, there are a variety of reasons. First, technology makes workers, companies, and regions more productive. When you think about the largest and most productive companies in the world, many are technology-based businesses. A second aspect of technology is it tends to be self-reinforcing, in that the presence of technology in a place makes new investments even more attractive. In other words, if a technology-based company is choosing between two places for a new location, it is likely to select the region where there are already more technology-based businesses. For this reason, technology contributes to divergence across places, where more productive regions grow and develop faster than others. In a different video, we focused on the effects of high technology on regional economic development. And we can summarize what we learned in this figure. It shows the effects of high technology on states, all U.S. metropolitan areas, and then large metros with 1 million or more people, and small metros with fewer than 1 million residents. The height of the bars represent the size of the impact in terms of standard deviations when we increase a region's share of high-tech businesses by 1 standard deviation. As an example, the third bar, which is labeled as large metros, tells us that a 1 standard deviation increase in a large metropolitan area's percentage of high-tech businesses corresponds with about a 0.6 standard deviation increase in the Economic Development Index. The bars are shaded in red to indicate results that are statistically significant. Overall, we found that high technology helps the economic development of U.S. metros with relatively larger impacts on metropolitan areas with 1 million or more residents. With all that as a backdrop, we'll begin our tour of other types of technology, with the first stop being biotechnology. Just like the definition of high-tech focuses on how things are made, the definition of biotechnology emphasizes how products are made. It's defined as any technique that uses living organisms or parts of organisms to make or modify products, to improve plants or animals, or to develop microorganisms for specific uses. Some of the more common applications of biotechnology are in the production of pharmaceutical products, for example, vaccines and food products. A study by Robert Carlson examined the impact of biotechnology on the U.S. economy and found that the U.S. biotech industry had average annual growth rates of over 10% over the past decade. That's very rapid growth. Biotechnology also holds the distinction of being one of the most targeted sectors for industry cluster promotion and development. In fact, most states list biotechnology as a targeted industry cluster. Next, let's keep the fill-in-the-blank technology train running with the next stop at environmental and energy technology. Here, things look a little bit different. That's because, whereas high technology and biotechnology are defined on the basis of how things are made, environmental and energy technology covers businesses that produce goods and services related to the environment and energy, including environmental protection. This sector experienced very high growth nationally between 1970 and 1994. So let's look at the effects of biotechnology and, separately, environmental and energy technology on the economic development of U.S. regions. This figure summarizes results for both types of technology. The 2 left bars are for biotech, and the 2 right bars are for environmental and energy technology. And we look at the effects of these technologies on states and U.S. metropolitan areas. The bars represent the impacts of technology on the overall Economic Development Index, which is a combination of the Employment Index, Income Index, and Employment Persistence Index. So it captures the growth of good jobs in a region. The height of the bars represents the size of the impact, in terms of standard deviations, when we increase a region's share of technology-based businesses by 1 standard deviation. As an example, the 1 standard deviation increase in a metropolitan area's percentage of businesses in biotechnology corresponds with about a 0.25 standard deviation increase in the Economic Development Index. The bars are shaded in red to indicate results that are statistically significant. Overall, we find that the two types of technology are positively associated with the economic development of U.S. metropolitan areas. These results tell us that the impacts of biotechnology and environmental and energy technology businesses are more pronounced for U.S. metropolitan areas than they are for states. These results are generally similar to what we found when studying the impacts of educational attainment and high technology on the economic development of regions. So now, let's move from technology to the knowledge economy. Using a definition that Fritz Machlup came up with back in the 1950s, we can characterize the knowledge economy as industries and occupations that are involved in the production and distribution of knowledge. And although today's economy certainly relies very heavily on knowledge, the knowledge economy was growing in importance even during the time when Machlup was conducting his research in the 1950s. Back in 1958, the knowledge economy accounted for 30% of U.S. GNP, and it was growing more rapidly than the U.S. economy as a whole. I used an approach similar to Machlup and calculated the percentage of knowledge economy businesses in a region as of 1990. I used 1990 as the base year because the economic development indicators are based on data from 1990 to the mid-2010s. So the idea is to examine how conditions back in 1990 affected the growth of good jobs moving forward. Here's a list of the top 20 U.S. metropolitan areas for the knowledge economy as of 1990. It includes many of the country's largest regions, places like New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Miami, and Houston, and some less populated metros, including Boulder and Bridgeport. This scatter plot shows the relationship between the Economic Development Index of U.S. metros and a region's percentage of knowledge economy businesses. On the right-hand side of the figure, you have the metros that we just looked at with the highest shares of knowledge economy businesses, places like San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, and Denver. The Economic Development Index, which is a combination of the Employment Index, Income Index, and Employment Persistence Index, is plotted on the y-axis, which goes up and down. The trend line is upward sloping, and I show it as a solid line because the relationship is statistically significant. In other words, the analysis tells us that metros with higher shares of knowledge economy businesses back in 1990 did better for economic development moving forward. This next figure summarizes the effects of the knowledge economy on different types of regions. We have states and U.S. metropolitan areas, and we split metros into large regions with 1 million or more people and small metros with fewer than 1 million residents. The bars represent the impacts of the knowledge economy on the overall Economic Development Index, which is a combination of the Employment Index, Income Index, and Employment Persistence Index. So again, it captures the growth of good jobs in a region. The height of the bars represents the size of the impact in terms of standard deviations when we increase a region's share of knowledge economy businesses by 1 standard deviation. As an example, the second bar, labeled as all metros, tells us that a 1 standard deviation increase in a metropolitan area's percentage of knowledge economy businesses corresponds with about a 0.30 standard deviation increase in the Economic Development Index. The bars are shaded in red to indicate results that are statistically significant. Overall, the findings suggest that the knowledge economy is particularly important to the economic development of the largest U.S. metropolitan areas. With that in mind, let's take a look at how the knowledge economy impacts the economic development of large regions. This figure summarizes the relationship between the knowledge economy of U.S. metropolitan areas with 1 million or more residents and all 4 of the economic development indices. The far right bar, labeled as Economic Development Index, is a repeat from the previous figure. The new information in this figure tells us that there's a positive relationship between all 3 aspects of economic development, that is, employment growth, income, and employment stability, and the knowledge economy of large metropolitan areas. To wrap up what we just learned, the knowledge economy has positive impacts on the economic development of U.S. metropolitan areas, especially the largest metros with 1 million or more people. And the knowledge economy contributes to the quality of jobs, both in terms of income and stability and employment growth. So in this video, we talked about biotechnology, environmental and energy technology, and the knowledge economy. And in a different video, we focused on the impacts of high technology on the economic development of U.S. regions. Overall, we learned that technology in all of its forms helps the economic development of U.S. regions. And just like we found when we studied human capital in the creative economy, technology appears to be contributing to a divergence among U.S. regions. In other words, places that are more productive than other regions are actually growing faster and experiencing higher productivity growth. These results should not be too surprising when you consider that technology makes workers more productive and the innovation-based multiplier contributes to job growth.